Namaskar. Welcome to this first session of the 17th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Geeta. We start with our gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara through which this knowledge is preserved, transmitted so as to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So 17th Adhyaya is called the Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. It essentially means yoga means communion or being one with the Lord with the understanding of Shraddha Traya Vibhaga, means the three types of Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. Now, what is the connection between this 15th, 16th and the 17th Adhyaya? In the 15th Adhyaya, Bhagavan showed us the Purushottama Yoga. And to attain this Purushottama Yoga, to understand that everything is divinity, is nothing but the Lord, Bhagavan showed us the Daivi Sampatti, how we can attain this in the 16th Adhyaya. For this, we need to discard some Asuri Sampattis, which Bhagavan showed in the 16th Adhyaya at length. So that was the Daivi Asuri Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga. And this Adhyaya, the 17th Adhyaya, also is about how we can implement these changes in our life so as to understand this Atma Gnana, to understand this divinity in all of us. So this Adhyaya talks about faith, because faith is a very, very important part of our life. Faith determines our belief systems, it determines our thoughts. Not only that, it determines all our emotions, our feelings, our actions are all driven because of our faith. All of you are listening to Geeta ji is because we have faith that Lord Krishna is talking about the truth, which we should try and understand what it is, how we can put it in our life so that we can make our lives better. Similarly, people who don't listen to Geeta ji also have a faith somewhere else and not in Geeta ji, and that's why they don't listen to Geeta ji. So everybody has some faith based on which they determine all their thoughts, actions and their life. So essentially we can say that faith determines our life and all our actions, and that's why faith is a very, very important part, a foundation of our life. And in this Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks about Shraddha Traya Vibhaga, three types of Shraddha, three types of faith. He says one is called the Sātvik, Rājsik and the Tāmsik. You remember in the 14th Adhyaya, Bhagavan talked about this, the three gunas, the Sātvik guna, Rājsik guna and Tāmsik guna, and he showed how they work in our life. And here Bhagavan talks about these three types of Shraddha. So the focus is on Shraddha here. So the amalgamation of the 17th Adhyaya is with the last two shlokas of the 16th Adhyaya, where Bhagavan in the 23rd, the second last shloka of the 16th Adhyaya, Bhagavan said, Ya Shastra Vidhi Mutsrujya Vartate Kamakarata. One who acts against the rituals, against the methods, the Vidhi that has been described in our Shastra, our scriptures, and they behave Kamakarata. They behave according to their own likes, dislikes, according to their own Raga, Dvesha, but not according to scriptures. They are the people na siddhim na avapnoti. They do not attain any worthy accomplishment. Na sukham. They also don't attain any happiness. Na param gatim. They also don't attain the highest goal of God attainment, self-attainment, Atma Gnana, Brahma Gnana. Everything remains away from them because they are the people who do not obey or believe this, have faith in the scriptures. And in the final shloka, Bhagavan said, Tasmat Shastra Pramanamte. Therefore, Arjuna, please understand that scriptures are the highest form of evidence. Shruti, Veda, Upanishads are the highest form of evidence regarding Karya Karya Vyavasthito, Kya Karya Akarya. What to do, what not to do in different situations, different Vyavastha, in different situations, circumstances, what should be done, what should not be done. For this, only scriptures are the evidence. And that's why Gnatva Shastra, he says you should know the scriptures, Vidhana Uktam, what has been said in the scriptures, Karma Kartumi Harhasi, means you should do accordingly, you should do all this, whatever our scriptures, our Shastra describes as our duty, as our dharma, as our karma, and everything should be done. And that's why at the moment, of course, he wants Arjuna to fight the war, because this Pitaji said in the war of Mahabharata, this is teachings or Uddesha, and that's why this is where there is a link between the 16th and the 17th Adhyaya. So after this, listening to these two shlokas, Arjuna, there is some question, some doubt which is raised in Arjuna's mind, and he puts it forward in front of Lord Shree Krishna. He says, this is the first shloka of the 17th Adhyaya, Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vidhi mutsrujya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtha tu ka Krishna satvamaho rajastamaha. So Arjuna asks, Bhagavan, yah shastra vidhi mutsrujya yajante, one who works, does all his actions without the rituals which are been shown in the scriptures, right? He doesn't know the Shastras, he's probably have not read the Shastras, he's been very involved in his own work, but he does this everything with Shraddhaya Anvitaha, means with faith. His faith is filled with faith. So this kind of person, O Krishna, Tesham Nishtha tu ka Krishna, what is their commitment? What is their dedication? Bhagavan Arjuna asks whether they are Sattva, whether they are Rajas, whether they are Tamas. And essentially Bhagavana has already said, of course he has not said, but this is the interpretation of our Acharyas and Guru, that Sattva Guna is the Daivi Sampatti, Raja and Tama is the Asuri Sampatti. Bhagavan only describes these gunas. He does not say this is good, this is bad. He never labels, never judges. But it is for us to understand that from Rajasik or Tāmsik, that is from Asuri Sampatti, we have to go towards more Sātvik or Daivi Sampatti, which are Sātvik, and that only causes Antakaran, Shuddhi, purity of the inner mind, and that is also only the way we can be eligible for this spiritual understanding, for the spiritual knowledge, for the for the progress on this path. So Arjuna's question is essentially that one who does not follow the scriptures, either because he has not read, he doesn't know, but he has a lot of faith, then what is his nishtha? What is his commitment? What is his dedication? Sattva, Rajas or Tamas? What is he called? Is he a Sātvik person? Whether it is a Rājsik person or is a Tāmsik person? This is the Arjuna's question. And this Arjuna's question is a very simple, very nice question, because he understands so far whatever Krishna has told him, that one who follows the scripture, knows the scripture, has the faith, he has the urdhvagati, he gets the elevated soul, he gets a better birth next time, goes to the better species, urdhvagati or elevation. One who does not follow the scriptures, either because he does not know the scriptures or does not have faith in the scriptures. Obviously, Bhagavan has already said in the previous Adhyaya that, they are Narake Shuchaha, they go to these Ashuddha people go to Naraka. They demoted to hell. And Bhagavan has already said Kama, Krodha, Lobha, these are the three doors to hell in the previous Adhyaya. And that's why Arjuna understands all this. But the question of Arjuna is essentially that one who does not know the scriptures because he has not read it. Obviously, the scriptures are so vast. Everybody does not have the time, inclination to read the scriptures, but they have faith in their actions, in their commitment, in their nishtha, in their work, in their profession, towards Lord, towards Guru. All these they have faith in Bhagwan, Puja, Seva, all this they do with a lot of faith, Shraddha, Anvitaha. And majority of the people in this world today are like this. Almost, we can say almost 80% of the people are like this. Maybe 5% are the people who know the scriptures and follow the scriptures. And almost 15% are the people who do not follow the scriptures. Probably they have no knowledge, they have no faith, and that's why they do Asuri Sampatti. But almost 80% of the people probably are the people who work with faith. Though they don't know the scriptures, they have a lot of faith. And Arjun's question is very beautiful question. What is their commitment, whether they are Sātvik, Rājsik or Tāmsik? And this faith in their actions is related to what they have seen in their family, their values, their traditions which are done in the family. They have learned all this from even good people, Sātvik people. They have learned from the behavior of others. They have understood it from their parents, their teachers, have told them all these sanskaras are there in them, and that's how they follow these sanskaras and they work accordingly. They are the people who are not lazy, they are committed to their actions, and they do all their actions with utmost faith. So this is the question of Arjuna, and Bhagavan answers in the second shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Sātviki Rājasi Chaiva Tāmsi Cheti Tam Shrunu. So Bhagavana never gives a, whatever Arjuna asks, Bhagavan does not give the perfect answer, but starts with some understanding which we need to do before it comes to the answer. And that's why when Arjuna asked whether these people who work with faith without the knowledge of the scriptures, whether their Nishtha is Sātvik, Rājsik or Tāmsik, this was the question of Arjuna. Bhagavan does not say that their Nishtha is Sātvik or their Nishtha is Tāmsik. Bhagavan says here that there are three types of Nishtha. There are three types of faith. There are three types of Shraddha. Trividha Bhavati Shraddha. He says there are three types of faith. And Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja. Dehinam means people who have born with the body, with the Deha, Dehadhari, jo bhi hai, all the beings, all the humans essentially. And how is it determined? Bhagavan says Sa Swabhavaja. And this is determined by our own nature. It is due to our basic nature that we determine those faith. And these are the three types of faith. Bhagavan says Sātviki, Rājasi, Cha Eva Tāmasi. The three types of faith. Eti tam shru. Now you listen from me. Now you listen to me. Arjuna, I'm going to tell you about these three types of faith in this following shlokas. That is what Bhagavan Shree Krishna is telling Arjuna. And Bhagavan is trying to tell us that as is our faith, as is our nishtha. So Bhagavan doesn't say that his nishtha is tamasik or satvik, but he says if he has a satvik faith, then his nishtha will be satvik. If he has a tamasic faith, then shraddha, then his nishtha will be tamasik. And that's why it is describing three types of Shraddha here. Trividha Shraddha Swabhavaja. Three types of faith which are based on our innate nature. And faith is only develops according to our nature. Everybody has a different nature. This nature that we have, our own prakriti as we call it, our nature is determined by several factors, but the most important is the past impressions. According to our scriptures, our past impressions, our samskaras which we are carrying from several janama, and in this birth also, in this life also, we have had several samskaras right from our childhood. Our parents have inculcated, then our teachers, then our friends, our relatives, all these have inculcated some of the sanskaras based on which develop this faith and our belief systems. So all our previous actions, all our karma creates a sanskara. This is what is called as adrashta phala in our shastra, which are not seen, which are very sukshma, but they always remain in our sukshma sharira antakarana as sanskara, and they are carried from one life to the other. And this determines our shraddha, our faith in whatever we do in our life. And an entire exercise of our spiritual journey is to elevate these samskaras, to develop sat sanskaras, good impression, so that our future becomes better. And this is what is. So past sanskaras play a very important role to determine our nature, our swabhava, and our swabhava, whatever is our swabhava, our shraddha, our faith will be accordingly. That is what Sri Krishna is trying to tell us. Trividha shraddha swabhavaja, and how our swabhava is developed. That is also Shankaracharya ji in our Bhashya tells us that this is how the Shastras describe. In the third shloka, Bhagavan describes that how faith is so important in human life, and he shows how faith develops and how it is important. Sattva nurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. So Bhagavan shows the importance, the role of faith in our life. It says Sattva Anurupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. Ho Bharata, ho Arjuna, the Shrestha in the Bharata dynasty, faith of people is synonymous to their state of mind. Sattva Anurupa means it is similar to the state of mind. Sattva means here Sattva meaning is Antakarana, our inner mind, our man, buddhi, all this is part of Antakarana. They are called sattva here because they develop from sattva guna. Antakarana develops from the Sātvik ansha of the, the Panch Mahabhuta, and that's why it is called sattva here, sattva anurupa. And this is like a memory card because it carries lots of sanskaras, lots of memory from janama to janama. And that's why Bhagavan says sattva anurupa sarvasya. Because of these inner state of mind, our antakarana, all the sanskaras which are carried, we develop different faith of the people, Shraddha Bhavati from sattva anurupa. And Bhagavan says, Shraddhamaya, Ayam Purusha. These human beings, Ayam Purusha, these people, these persons, these human beings, it says, are Shraddhamaya, are all filled with faith. We have a lot of excessive emotions, feelings, and faith. One of them is faith. Ya yak Shraddha sa eva saha. And whatever is our faith, thus becomes our personality. So, ya जैसा हमारा श्रद्धा है ऐसा ही हमारा लाइफ है, हमारी our personality, our character, everything is determined by our faith. And that's why Bhagavan says, trying to tell us that faith forms a very, very important part of our life. Shraddha Maya Ayam Purusha. When Bhagavan says people are determined by their own faith, because of our faith we do all our actions. Faith is the foundation of our life because it creates what our science says, our psychology says, the belief systems. And based on this belief systems, we do all our actions, all our life, we work accordingly. And that's why faith is a predominant driver of our actions. So Astika is the person who has a faith in the Lord, in the God, in some creator, and feels that there is some superpower behind all this creation, and he endeavors to know this truth. So faith is a very essential part of the Astika person. But there is a person who is a Nastik, who does not have any faith in the God, does not believe that there is a Lord who creates this universe, thinks that everything comes out of its own self, some big bang or something. But still, this person has a faith that it comes out of big bang or it comes out of this or that. And that faith is there. So everybody has their own faith somewhere. And faith, as the faith, is the person. That is what Bhagavan is trying to tell us. And there are three types of faith that Bhagavan says. One is a Sātvik faith, Shraddha, the Rājasik Shraddha, and the Tāmsik Shraddha. Fourth shloka. Yajante Sātvika Devan Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasaha Pretan Bhutaganan Shanye Yajante Tamasa Janaha. So Bhagavan is trying to tell us in this shloka what are these three faiths or the Shraddha, and how we can know which is a Shraddha which is predominant in that person. How is it that this Shraddha or this faith is manifested in the different life of different people? Because faith or Shraddha is a very sukshma bhava. It's a very subtle kind of a feeling or emotion, or it cannot be measured. It is not tangible. It cannot be seen. But it is manifested in our life when we do different actions, when we, surrender or devote to certain things. And how we can understand that this person is Sātvika, this is Rājasika, this is Tāmsika, based on where his devotion is. So in this shloka, Bhagavan says, Yajante Sātvika Devan. So Sātvika people, they devote to the God, the Devatas. They do all this Puja, Karma, all this Mala, all the worship to the Lord. They have a belief that Lord is the creator of the universe. They surrender to the Lord for whatever wishes they surrender to the Lord. So this is how they devote to the Lord. Rajasik people actually devote to the Yaksha and Rakshasa. So Yakshas and demons. And these are the Rajasik people. Those who, they worship these people who are, cruel. They will worship the people who are countries or people, or those who are very harsh to others. This is what Yaksha, Raksha, Rajasaha. And Pretan Bhuta Ganans cha Anye Yajante Tamasaha Janaha. Whereas the Tāmsik people, they devote to Preta. Preta are the evil spirits which roam around in this universe after the death of a person. And Bhuta Gana. Bhuta Gana means all these, the Gana, Bhut Gana means the ghosts basically. They're all basically all the superstitions and all these misconceptions about afterlife and how the evil spirits work. And, this is the kind of horror stories that are going around. So this is what the Tāmsik people, they like this, they enjoy this, they devote to this kind of things, and they believe in such things. Those are the Tāmsik people. So this is how we can understand. That is what Bhagavan is trying to tell us. And the next two shlokas, Bhagavan tells us that what is important is that even a Sātvik karma, if not properly done, can become Tāmsik. And here he gives an example of Ghora Tapa. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambha ahankara sanyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha. So here he gives an example of tapa. Tapa is an austerity or a penance, which is essentially our self developed or created swechha, some kind of forbearance or sahanshilta to dukkha, means we are trying to endure some kind of a pain with our own wish, our own desire to make us strong for our self-control, to improve our self-control, self-confidence. So that is what is called as a tapa. Ye janaha ashastra vihitam ghoram tapaha tapyante. Those people who are involved in performing very harsh austerities, ghora tapa, against ashastra vihitam, against the scriptures. Dambha ahankara sanyuktaha, along with dambha, hypocrisy, just for the showing off. They are not doing it for getting some punya out of it, but by showing off that they are Sātvik people, they are dharmic, and that's why they do this kind of ghora tapa. Ahankara, with some pride that I am doing it, I can do this, I have so much of self-control, I can do 5 upasa or any type of tapa, this puja, this seva, anything, any ritual or any strong rule or discipline that they follow in their life. Kam raga balanvitaha, and all these are inspired by desires. They want to achieve something, they want to attain some worldly pleasures, something, and attachments by the raga, to attachments to others, to their near and dear ones. Because somebody is ill, they want to do something so that other person gets better. All these kinds of things are done by people who are, Bhagavan says, this is the ghora tapa. And what is the fruit? What happens with this ghora tapa? Bhagavan says, karshayantah sharirastham bhutagramamachetasah mam chaivantah sharirastham tan vidhyasura nishchayan. Bhagavan says, achetasaha, those people who are unaware, they don't think properly, they are aviveki. Bhutagramam sharirastham karshayantah, they emaciate me, the body, their own body, by doing this ghora tapa, by sharira karshayantah, krusha. They emaciate this body because they do this ghora tapa, which are very strong tapa. A lot of hatha yoga and others, they also do ghora tapa. Mam eva antah sharirastham. Bhagavan says they actually are not just paining themselves, but they are paining me, Mama Eva, who is sitting inside as Antakarana, in the Antaryami, in all the body of all the beings. Bhagavan says they are actually causing anguish, pain, miseries to me, because I am there inside. Tan with the Asura Nishchayan, know that they are essentially devils, they are devils, they are devilish people, they are demonical people, they are Asura, Prakriti people. Bhagavan says, so even if a Sātvik karma like a tapa, if it is done in extremes, ghora tapa, it is not a good thing. What Bhagavan is trying to tell us is that one should not go to extremes. One should remain in the center, in the middle path. The balanced path or the madhyam path, marga, is according to Lord, is the best path. And that is what he describes in so many areas where samatva is where Bhagavan wants us to go. Human body is definitely invaluable. We should be taking care of this body, because we shouldn't do unnecessary, do ghor tapa so that it creates pain, miseries, not only to our body, but the Antaryami sitting inside us also. And our body is definitely a very important instrument, a sadhana, to attain our goals in life, may it be worldly goals, may it be spiritual goals. But definitely this body is not the final goal, because it comes to an end, it is anitya, and definitely it is not the final goal. Bhagavan says only Nitya Satya is our final goal in life. But this body is a very important means to reaching that goal, because it's only in this human life that we can attain that goal. We cannot attain that in the animal life or the lower species. So rules and disciplines, some kind of schedules are definitely important in our life, but they should be moderate and they should be flexible. This is what Guruji teaches us, that we shouldn't become very harsh in our discipline. Gura Tapa is not that Bhagavan what he likes. And Bhagavan Shree Krishna likes is balance or samatva. And samatva he has praised everywhere in Geeta ji, everywhere in so many adhyayas he's talked about samatva. So some rules and discipline, some scheduling of our work, life, home, family balance is important, but it should not be very rigid. It should be a little flexible and it should be a balanced path. It should be a middle path. So tapa, the main reason for doing tapa is to control our self. And our self-control starts with first the indriya sanyam, because indriyas are very powerful, very bahirmukha, they want to go out, they are very chanchala, they are very restless, and that's why they always want to get some vishaya grahana, and that's why indriya sanyam is the first step, which Bhagavan has already described in Gita ji at several parts. And then now in this adhyaya, Bhagavan is going to talk about our control on our tapa, on our food, ahara, then yagna, then our austerities, the tapa and dana, donations. All these Bhagavan is going to talk about in this adhyaya. And now he is showing the three types of ahara, the food, the three types of yagna, three types of tapa, austerities or finance, and the three types of dana. And he makes this sankalpa, he resolves, he vows to tell Arjuna about these three types of different important activities of our life, which our life is made up with. Especially this was more important in the Vedic era, where yagnas were very important, finance was important, but we can also translate this to our own time right now, because yagnas essentially means all our karmas, all our actions. And austerities or tapa means our self-control. Charity, donation is the attitude of giving rather than just to hoarding. And food is of course important for all of us, and it remains the same even in that time and this time. So what Bhagavan says in the 7th shloka, आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु. Bhagavan says, ahara api tu api sarvasya trividha bhavati priyah. These are the three types of diet based on the types of person who like them. So Bhagavan is telling us the three types of diet. He is saying that this is Sātvika, this is the diet which is liked by the Sātvika people, this is the diet liked by Rājsik people. He doesn't say that this is Sātvika ahar or this is the Rājasik ahar. He doesn't say that, one should consume Sātvik food, should not consume Rājsik food. He does not label as this. And also he talks about Yagna, Tapa, Tatha, Danam. He also talks about these three types of Sātvik, Rājsik and Tāmsik Yagna. Similarly, finance, tapa and dana. Tesham bhedam imam shru. Now listen to the differences from me, and now from onwards he's going to describe all this. He's going to first start with the ahara, our food, because we are all very fond of food, and that's why food becomes a very important part of our life, sometimes only part of our conversations. And it is, of course, assumes a lot of importance, and Bhagavan shows here what is Sātvik food, or what is the kind of Sātvik food which is liked by people who are Sātvik. Ayu sattva bala rogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha stiraryuthya ahara sattvika priyaha. Bhagavan says ahara sattvika priyaha. Satvika persons like these kind of food, and then he's going to describe what is the kind of food. He's not going to name any food, but he's just going to give the qualities of the food which Satvik people like. And that's how we can understand that these are the Satvik people, because they like this kind of food. Ayuhu. Ayuhu means which increases the lifespan. So obviously it has to be a very nutritious diet, only then it can improve the lifespan. Antioxidants, fruits, all these are the ones which cause increase in the lifespan. Sattva bala arogya, which provides us, which nurtures us with sattva. Sattva is intellect. Sattva comes from the buddhi, comes from the sattvic ansha. So mana buddhi, which improves, which is bala, which gives nourishment to our body, and arogya, which gives us a good health, healthy lifestyle, healthy life. And not only this, but it also helps us to increase our sukha, priti, vivardhanaha. It increases sukha, happiness, and priti, our peace of mind. And this is also important, so that it is not just the nutritious or strength which is important, but which should also pushti, increase our inner mind, our antakarana, which should be rasya. Rasya means which should be tasty, which full of rasa, and it should be non-sticky. It should not be very dry. It should be non-sticky, so that it has rasa or the taste. And snigdaha, it should be lubricated well. So there should be some kind of oil, ghee, butter in a proper adequate proportions, so that it is well lubricated, does not become very dry. And it should be stiraha. It gives us satiety. So after eating, we don't immediately feel hungry, or we don't keep like eating again and again. So, and it should give us a satisfaction, a kind of a satiety. And hrudyaha. Hrudyaha means it is gives us inner joy. Alladak. Hriday gives, inner Hriday gives a joy to the inner mind and our hearts, which gives us a kind of satisfaction. So that is the kind of food which Bhagavan says, according to him, Lord Krishna, Sātvik people like this kind of food, and these are the people. This can be said that this is kind of a Sātvik ahara. So Bhagavan does not say that this is Sātvik ahara. He says that Sātvik people like this kind of ahara. That's why we can surmise that this is Sātvik ahara. And the next shloka, Bhagavan talks about the Rajasik ahara. It is the Rājsik persons like this type of food. Katvam lalavana tyushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. Ahara rajasasya ishtaha. Rajasik people like this kind of food. Bhagavan says ati katu. Katu means bitter, very bitter food. Ati katu means very bitter. Ati amla, very sour. Little bit sour is okay, but ati, too much of sour. Ati lavana. Lavana means salty. So ati goes with everything. Ati lavana. Ati means very salty, little bit salt. Yes, it's always there in our food. But if it is very salty, this is what the Rajasik people like. Ushna. Ushna means hot by temperature. So it's very hot. Dam garma garam khana. That is what they like. Rajasik people like this kind of very hot food. Tikshna. Tikshna is hot by way of chilies, putting in red or green chilies and making it hot. So this is what Rajasik people like, this kind of food. Ruksha. Ruksha is very dry food, which is not with rasa, snigdha, but very dry kind of food, pure breads and other things which are very dry. That these are the ruksha. Vidahina, the one that creates daha inside. So that is very spicy, full of masalas, pepper, and this is what all the spices that create a lot of daha. Daha is fire, means it burns inside us, creates acidity inside us. So these are the kind of Rajasik food. And these are the food which gives rise to dukkha, shoka, amaya, pradaha, which produces dukkha, pain, shoka, sorrow, finally, and amaya. Amaya means disease. Essentially, because it creates disease, it gives rise to pain and a lot of disturbances in our life, makes us very sad and sorrowful that you kept eating such food, and now we have developed this kind of disease, diabetes, hypertension, and acidity, ulcers, and so many diseases are related to diet in today's world, and they are very important because our diet and lifestyle habits have changed like anything in the recent past. And that's why Bhagavan tells us that how we need to be careful. In the 10th shloka, Bhagavan talks about the Tāmsik ahara, how Tāmsik people like this kind of food. He says, Yata yamam gatarasam bhuti paryushitam chayata uchishta mapi chamedhyam bhojanam tamasah priyam. Bhojanam tamasah priyam. Such food is dear to Tāmsik people. Bhagavan says, Yatayamam. Yatayamam means which is not properly cooked, which is half cooked or half baked or something, which is not even proper pakka, a little kacha. All this kind of food is improperly cooked food is Yatayamam. Gatarasam, one which is devoid of rasa, taste, which is tasteless. A lot of foods really don't have much taste. Puti. Puti means it smells awful. There is a bad odor. Tivra, durgandha. Paryushitam. Paryushitam means which is preserved. which has been kept in the refrigerator for many days, and then we recook, reheat, and then use it, which is not fresh. And uchishtam means which is impure, which is tested by others. Jhutha, jaise kehte somebody else has eaten from it and this becomes jhutha. That is uchishtam. And amedhyam. Amedhyam means one which cannot be offered to the Lord, which cannot be offered as a to the Lord. All these kinds of food like onion, garlic, it doesn't name them, but these are the food which we never offer to the Lord. All the non-vegetarian food is never offered to the Lord. So all these, Bhagavan says, all these are the kind of a Tāmsik food, and these are that is what in the nature of the God. So Rajasik and Tāmsik food definitely affects our body. It is very known to us. It affects our body, creates obesity, overweight, hypertension, a lot of other problems. But our Shastras tell us that the Sukshma part of this food also affects our mind. And Guruji tells us that whoever are on the spiritual path, whoever wakes up early in the morning and does some spiritual activities like japa, mala, dhyana, or anything like that, they would have experienced this very clearly, that whatever they eat on the previous evening, how much they eat, what they eat, definitely determines the next day's state of our mind and the spiritual sadhana. If the food has been eaten which is Sātvik and light earlier in the evening, and then in the morning one can do a better sadhana, can do better meditation. But if the food is Rājsik, Tāmsik, very heavy food, a lot of oil, ghee, butter, a lot of volume also eating, then this creates definitely a kind of blaze, does not allow us to wake up in the morning. Our mind is also clouded. We cannot do our spiritual exercises properly. So definitely it has an effect on the mind, but only people who are on this path will recognize, who are aware about the mind. For other people who wake up and go to their work, are not involved in physical exercise, this kind of spiritual exercises, they will not be able to understand how this kind of food affects the mind also. So spirituality helps us to change our life. Whether it is possible, that is a question. Geeta ji, we talk about Geeta ji, it gives us a very different worldview. It shows the life from a different perspective, from Shree Krishna's own perspective, which is a completely different perspective. We are seeing our life from our own perspective, which is very different. And that's why Geeta ji shows us a very different worldview, which we probably have never thought in our life. Krishna talks about many important aspects of life, and he completely covers all the important aspects of our life. And here in this Adhyaya, he's been so kind to help us improve our habits, our attitudes, our day-to-day life, food, ahara, Yagna means karma, all is our routine part of our life, our attitudes. And only with this continuous improvement, which stems from our new understanding that we develop from this Geeta ji, from our Guru, from our Shastras, we can definitely change will happen in our life. But this change happens very slowly. Guruji tells us that this change takes time. It happens very slowly. We may not be very aware that this change has happened. Maybe in 6 months, 1 year, we may not see much change. But if you see over 5-10 years, when you are on this path, definitely we will say a lot of change happens in our life, in our understanding, in our peace of mind, in the way we conduct, in the way we understand others, in the way we have compassion for others, in the way we try to help others, in the way we become soft, in the way we become humble, in the way we think about our possessions, about our obsessions. All these changes, and that is a great benefit of being on this path. So food is very important. Most of us are foodies, and that's why this understanding of what Shree Krishna is telling us about the Rajasik, Sātvik and the Tāmsik food is important to understand, because this will also determine our endeavor spiritually. And of course, Sātvik is the goal. That is what our Shastra and Guruji tells us. Krishna Bhagavan does not tell us that Sātvik, you have to go Sātvik. He only shows us that this is Sātvik, this is Rājsik, this is Tāmsik. But it is we who have to understand that from Rajasik and Tāmsik ahara, we have to move towards Sātvik ahara. Initial goal is to become Sātvik. That is not the final goal. The final goal is to transcend the 3 gunas, Nistre Gunyo Bhavarjuna, and go to our Swarupa, our Atma Swarupa, which is beyond the 3 guna. It is Traigunya, it is Nistraigunya, it is Nirguna. our Atma Swarupa. And that is where it's a final goal for us to reach. But before that is possible, we have to go first to the Sātvik, and only then we can transcend. We cannot transcend the three gunas from Rajasik or Tāmsik. That is very clear in our Geeta ji, in our Swadhyaya. This part of Shastras is very clear that if we want to transcend, we have to first become Sātvik. Even if we become Sātvik, and even if in this life we don't transcend, even then our life will be much, much better for us to live. It will be much more peaceful, much more stress-free, much more calm, quiet, and much less, complaining, and there will be a lot of betterment in our life. So Lord Krishna now talks about different types of yagnas. Let us come to these yagnas. He first describes the Sātvik type of a yagna in the 11th shloka. Afalakankshibhir yagno vididrashto ya ichyate yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sa satvikaha. So Bhagavan says saha satvikaha yagnaha. This is known as a Sātvik yagna. Bhagavan says afalakankshibhihi ya ichyate. Ya ichyate means one who performs this yagna. Afalakankshibhihi does not have desire. Akanksha is desire. Afala means no desire for the fruits of the actions, that if I do this, I will get this. This is the result I will get. This will be the outcome. This will be the fruit of whatever I am doing. Karma phala. This kind of a definite desire is not there in the mind when he does that kind of a karma or yagna. Vididrashtaha. It is done, performed according to what is shown in the scriptures. It is described in the scriptures. Yashtavyam eva iti manaha samadhaya. Yashtavyam means I should do it. I must do it. It is my duty that I should do it. This is eva iti. This is what mana samadhaya, firmly decided in my mind that this is how I should do it. This is why I should do it. This is my duty. I'm not doing it out of some kind of a, upkara or some kind of a self-aggrandizement, but I have to do it. This is my kind of a duty. I must not think what am I going to get immediately from this. It should be selfless, and this is what is a Sātvik karma. So yagnas have been described in our Vedas. Vedic Samay, the yagnas were being done. Nowadays, of course, we don't do yagnas, but yagnas have a very symbolic meaning, and yagna essentially is a Vedic karma. So in today's life also, whatever karmas we do, we can do it as a yagna buddhi. Bhagavan has already described this in the 4th Adhyaya. When he described in the 3rd Adhyaya the Karma Yoga and the Karma Sannyasa Yoga, he described the Yagna Buddhi, how we can do these kind of karmas with the Yagna Buddhi, with the benefit for all. And these actions are beneficial to many. They give happiness, provide happiness to a lot of people. And these karmas are called Sātvik karma. If we are careful, then this definitely will be Sātvik karma. If it is done selflessly, without the desire for the fruits or the results to be done immediately, and it is done out of our duty as my dharma, then definitely it is a Sātvik karma. But if it is not done as with proper understanding, without being careful, it is done carelessly, then it can become Rajasik or Tāmsik karma. Bhagavan has already described this in the Tapa, Ghora Tapa earlier. And that's why now he is going to show us the Rājsik Yagna. So in the 12th shloka, Bhagavan says, Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambharthamapi chaivayata ichyate bharata shreshta tam yagnam vidhi rajasam. So Bhagavan is now showing us what is the Rajasik karma. He says, tam yagnam vidhi rajasam. Know that this is what is called as the Rajasik Yagna. It says, Abhisandhaya tu phalam eva yat ijyate bharata shreshta. Bharata shreshta is a salutation to Arjuna. He says, one which is done by keeping the fruits in the mind. That if I am doing this, going to do this action, that I am going to get this. If I am going to do this, it is basically, done with some selfish desire, some selfish motive. Dambhartham apicha, which is also done for show. That, we are doing something, but it is done to show. That's why we sometimes exaggerate things when we speak, when we do something. We try to show. When people are seeing it, we do it differently. When people are not seeing, we do differently. So this is the dambha, and this is done for some kind of a show or to get some kind of appreciation or praise. We do some karmas just to get some appreciation, and this Bhagavan says is Rajasik karma. In the 13th shloka, Bhagavan says, what is Tāmsik Yagna? Vidihinam ashrushtanam mantrahinam dakshinam Shraddha virahitam yagnam tamasam parichakshate. Yagnam tamasam parichakshate. Such is called the Tāmsik Yagna, Bhagavan says. And he describes 5 things. Vidihinam, one which is done without vidhi. Vidhi are the method, that are steps which are shown in the scriptures, the rituals, how it should be done. So if it is not done according to scriptures or the vidhi, any karma which is done without the scriptures or the method or the vidhi is a Tāmsik karma. Asrushtanam, which is done annam, without offering the food to Brahmins. Third is mantrahinam, done without proper chanting of the mantras. Any yagna that is done requires the chanting of the mantras. At the right time, the mantra should be chanted and that ahuti must be given. So if there is not done in the proper way, then Bhagavan says this is a Tamasa Yagna. Adakshinam. Dakshina is the gift. It is given to the Brahmins who are the Rutvika, who perform the Yagnas. And anything that is not done in the Yagna Vedi, but it is done outside the Yagna Vedi to the Brahmins is called Dakshina or gift. So it is customary to give good Dakshina to Brahmins. And if it is not done, then this is the Tamas Yagna. Shraddha Virahitam, which is any yagna done without faith in the Shastra, without faith in the God, without in the Guru. All this, it makes it a, Shraddha Virahitam. And these are the 5 things that Bhagavan says it's a Tamas Yagna. The next now, Bhagavan is talking about Tapa. When he starts talking about Tapa, he initially talks about 3 types of Tapa. One is called Tapa done with the body, another is done with the words, the speech or our language, and the third is the mind, tapas of the mind. So Bhagavan first talks about the Sharira Tapa, Sharirik Tapa, the Tapa or austerity of the Pirans, the control of our body. In this shloka, the 14th shloka, Bhagavan says, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam Shaucha Marjavam Brahmacharya Mahinsam Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Bhagavan says Shariram Tapa Uchyate. This is called the Sharirik Tapa. It is austerity of the mind, of the body, finance of the body, some kind of a control of our body. What is it? Bhagavan says Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujana. Worshipping the gods, the Brahmin, the teacher and the wise people. Shaucha, adherence to purity, is a Sharirik Tapa. It is a control of our body. And there are 2 types of Shaucha or the Shuddhi. One is the outer Shuddhi of our place where we are living, where we sit, what we eat, our place where we prepare our food. And all this, our home, everything should be clean, our desk, our workplace, everything. But the more important is the inner Shuddhi, which is the Shuddhi of the mind, the Antakarana Shuddhi. Of course, we have to start our life from the outer Shuddhi and then go to the inner Shuddhi, which is even more Sukshma. And that's why it takes even more time. So Bhagavan says, Arjavam, simplicity, honesty, gentleness. This simplicity in our mind, body and actions and is definitely Arjavam. We've already said this in the previous Adhyaya also. And this Arjavam is also a Sharirik Tapa. We should try to achieve Arjavam because sometimes speaking something that is not Satya is very easy for us. We try to twist the matter, try to show it with different people in different words. But Arjavam, Bhagavan says, is a Sharirik Tapa. Brahmacharya, control over our sense pleasures, especially physical attractions, and all this is called Brahmacharya. We should have this kind of a Sanyama, self-control over these kind of sensual activities, sensual pleasures. And this is nothing but Brahmacharya. This is also Tapa of the body, which is a penance or austerity or some kind of a control of our body. Ahimsacha, practicing non-violence. It is one of the most important Tapa. And this is practicing no himsa from our body to somebody else. And this also is a kind of a restraint. It's kind of a self-control for us. So Daiva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam is the Sharirik Tapa. When Bhagavan says Deva Puja, all our worshipping, devotion to the Lord is called a Sharirik Tapa because this helps us to elevate ourselves to be one with the Lord, to reduce our ahankara. It makes our mind also pure. There are a lot of benefits of devotion and bhakti. Dvija Puja. Brahmins traditionally used to protect the Vedas. They used to, they used to memorize the Vedas. They used to learn by heart the Vedas. When the script was not there, the Vedas were transmitted to the Brahmins because they would learn it completely from their teacher. And then there's a child, that the child who has learned it, then he will keep on reciting and then he will teach to the others. And from this parampara, this lineage, the Vedas were protected. And that's why Brahmins also considered as respectable as the Vedas. So Guru Puja, respecting the Guru with a lot of faith, a lot of respect. Pujan to the Guru is nothing but giving the due respect to the Guru. And Pragna Puja, respecting the wise, the saints, the the Paripurna people, the Mahapurusha. All these is considered to be the Sharirik Tapa. It is called a restraint of our mind, of our body. The next restraint that Bhagavan shows us is the Vachika Tapa, the Vangamaya Tapa, which is our control over our speech, our words, our language. Anudvegakaram Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam Chayata Swadhyayabhyasa Nam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. So Bhagavan is saying Vangmaya Tapa Uchyate. This is called the verbal austerities, the verbal penance, the Vachik Tapa, control over our speech. What kind of tapa? Anudvega karam bhakyam, words that do not inflict pain onto others. And this is it's a Vachik Tapa. We have to have control that we don't speak something that will hurt others. Our words, our speech should be satyam, should be true. It should be priyam, it should be lovable or likable to the others. It should be pleasant, and it should be hitam chayata. It should also be beneficial, hitkari. It helps the others, does not take away some of their pleasures, and this is what our word should be. Swadhyaya abhyasayanam cha eva, and regular study of scriptures. Swadhyaya, Abhyasa, regular study. Also in Bhagavan, since his attitude, in his view, is a Vachik Tapa, because Swadhyaya can be learned only through Shravana, and then we have to Manana, and this is Bhagavana, in his view, is a Vachik Tapa. So we must remember, Guruji tells us that words are like arrows. We should not use Anudvega Karam words which are hurtful to others, but we should use words which are soothing to others. We should develop a habit of thinking before speaking, so that once we speak something and it hurts somebody, we don't have to repent later, say sorry, there is a quarrel, and then there is a lot of issue, there is anger on both sides, and then to quell that, it takes a long time. It is experience of most of us that this is what happens in families, in worlds, in living worlds every day. And that's why if we just develop this habit, Bhagavan says, Anudvega Karam is a Vachik Tapa. We should think before we speak. And our speech should be truth, it should be honest. Whatever is there, we should speak, not twisted, to make others happy, to just appreciate for the fun of it others. In today's world of social media, all this happens. We just try to make others happy by giving messages so that others are happy, they remain happy, so they make me happy. And this patting each other goes on and on. So sometimes we may have to present the truth in a little different way, so as to not to cause pain to the others. Especially this is more important for doctors, because when we know that the patient is suffering from a very serious, critical and advanced stage of a cancer, we try to put it into words where does not inflict a lot of suffering, pain to the others. Of course, we have to tell the truth to the patient. We have to be honest to our patients, but at the same time, our truth should be said in such a way that it does not inflict. We can't say that, okay, now you're going to only live for 3 months or 6 months. That is your life. This is what is the way that in the Western countries, the practice is that you be upfront and honest to our patients. But in India, definitely the way it is practiced is that we have to be gentle. We don't just speak very bluntly or very upfrontly to the patient that this is what is your life. You're at the last stage and you are not going to survive now for more than few weeks or few months. This is not the way we will speak to our patient, because we believe that we have to have that kind of a restraint so that it does not inflict pain or suffering to the other person. The truth that we present must be pleasant. Sometimes often the truth is not always pleasant. It could be very bitter. And it is said that truth is always bitter. That is a saying which says truth is bitter, but it's not always like that. But we must realize that words are very, very powerful because they can actually cast a spell on people. It is called Vashikaran Mantra. So they are so powerful. They can actually inspire people. It can demote people. It can lead others to depression. It can lead others to anxiety, stress. And words are very, very powerful. And that's why we should be very careful in choosing the correct words for correct person at the correct time. And that's why our truth that we speak also should be pleasant truth. It should not be bitter. We cannot say, somebody who cannot see, we can't say, oh blind, what are you? Why can't you see? We can't talk like that. Even though that is a truth, we cannot speak like that. It's very, very unpleasant. It's not in our culture. So that this is how the truth must also be way in the pleasant. And it must be hitakari. It must be beneficial to others. It should be inspiring to others. Our truth that we speak, not only pleasant, but it should be helping others. And Shankara says, normally Guruji tells us that Shankara gives a very short, concise summary of the shlokas in his Bhashya of the Geeta Ji. But in this shloka, the Vangmaya Tapa, the Vachik Tapa, Shankaracharya has given a very, very detailed description of what is Anudvega Karam and Satyam, but not Priyam, not Hitkari. It is Satyam, but Priyakari, not a Hitkari. Priyam, Hitakari, but not Satya. All these different permutations, combinations. And finally, he summarizes in one line that only if all these four, Anudvega Karam, Satyam, Priyam and Hitakari, if all these four are present, then only this is called Vangmaya Tapa. If it is there's only 1, 2 or even 3, and suppose it is Satya, but it is not said in a way, it's Anudvega Karam, it increases anguish or the pain or the miseries, it is not a Vangmaya Tapa. We have to develop our, so that we speak the truth. We speak not just the truth, but it is a pleasant truth. We speak it in a way that it is beneficial and inspiring to others. And we speak and carefully choose words so that it causes soothing, it does not hurt others, does not inflict the past pains or does not inflict the wounds of the others. And this is what is called as a Vangmaya Tapa. And the third Tapa that Bhagavan talks about is a Manasik Tapa. And this is the mind, the balance of our mind. Bhagavan says this control, as a self-control of our mind is also very, very important. It is a Manasik Tapa. Manah prasada saumyatvam maunamanam vinigraha bhava sanshuddhirityetat tapo manasam uchyate. Tapah manasam iti uchyate. This is called the finance of the mind, the austerities or the tapa of the mind. It is a manasik tapa. Manah prasadaha. Our peace of mind at any cost, our peace of mind cannot be disturbed. That must be our topmost priority, our topmost project of our life. That is our Vangmaya Tapa. That is how we should try and resolve ourselves. Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam is having a very pleasant personality. And only with this peace of mind, we can have a kind of a pleasant or a pleasing personality. And this, our how, our, the anxieties, tension, how we demeanor, how we look, how we appear, how the others will see us and what kind of inner power they will have after seeing us. That depends on our inner peace of mind, our inner prasannata. Maunam is silence. Actually, it is by words or by mouth. But Bhagavan is telling Maunam here as a Manasik Tapa, our mind. And that's why Mauna can happen only if we have a control over our mind. So people who keep speaking constantly probably have a very little control over their mind. And that's why developing a habit of silent speaking as much as necessary, as few words as possible, is control. It suggests a control over our mind. Atma Vinigraha, to be aware about our own thoughts, decisions. Before you speak, we have to be aware, we have to think inside and then speak. This is also Manasik Tapa. And Bhavasan Shuddhihi iti etat, having purity of the emotions, our feelings, our bhava, our inner sanshuddhi, having purity of these feelings or emotions is also Manasik Tapa, Shuddha Sātvik. And Bhagavan is describing these three types of tapa, the Vachik, the Sharirik and the Manasik. Now he's going to describe the three tapas as Sātvik, Rājsik and Tāmsik in the next 3 shlokas. And that's why total he's describing 9 tapas, because The Vachik Tapa, so for example, can be Sātvik, Rājsik, Tāmsik. The Manasik Tapa can be Rajasik, Tāmsik or Sātvik. And the Sharirik Tapa also can be Sātvik, Rājsik or Tāmsik. So total is going to describe, it will be 9 kinds of different austerities or Tapa. And now with this, we come to the end of the first session. In the second session, Bhagavan is going to describe the 3 types of Yagnas. He has described already. He is going to describe these 3 types of tapas, the Sātvik, Rājsik, Tāmsik. Then it's going to describe the 3 types of Dhanam, the donations or the charity, the Sātvik, Rājsik and the Tāmsik. And finally, coming to the end of the 17th Adhyaya, Bhagavan is going to describe the 3 names of the Lord himself. He's describing that these are the 3 names of the Lord, because in doing all this, living this life, there, Yagna, Karma, Tapa, Dana, all these activities, our daily actions and in our life, there may be some dosha, some impurity, incompleteness, some impurities will be there, some or the other dosha will be there. And this dosha can only be completed by taking the name of the Lord, which is completeness, which is paripurna, which is completely fulfilled. And Bhagavan talks about the 3 names of the Lord, Om, Tat, Sat. And then in the 3 shlokas, it describes where Omkar is used, where Sata is used, and where Tat is used, and where Sat is used. So all this is going to then end the 17th Adhyaya. So to summarize the 17th Adhyaya, the first session, it starts with the first shloka, starts with Arjuna's question. He asks if somebody doesn't know the scriptures but still has faith. So what is his nishtha? What is his commitment? Bhagavana in the second shloka answers that first you understand that there are 3 types of Shraddha, faith, Sātvik, Rājsik, Tāmsik. First you understand, then you'll understand what will be the nishtha, what will be the commitment of this person. Bhagavan says the faith forms a very, very important role of our life. It is the foundation of our life. The human beings are all Shraddha Maya, Purusha. They are all filled with a lot of Shraddha, faith. And then how these 3 faiths are manifested in our life. Sātvik people, they worship the Devas, the Rājsik, how they worship. And this is how we know what are the persons. And then in the 2 next shlokas, Bhagavan describes the middle path, that even the Sātvik karma, like a Ghora Tapa, if it is done with extreme, then it becomes a Rājsik or a Tāmsik karma. And essentially, one is giving pains or miseries to me who is sitting inside the heart of all as Antaryami. And from 8 to 10th shloka, Bhagavan describes the 3 types of ahara, Sātvika foods, the Sātvika, Rājasik and the Tāmsik ahara, which are the kinds of foods. Does not take the name of any food, but he describes the qualities and the gunas. And 11 to 13th Adhyaya describe the 3 types of Yagna. And we must understand that these are the 3 types of karma that we do in our life, how these are Sātvika, Rājasik or Tāmsik. And then in the 14 to the 16th shlokas, he described the 3 types of Tapa, the Sharirika, the one with the body, one with the words, and one with the mana, Manasik. And now in next he will describe the 3 types of Tapa, which are the Sātvik, Rājsik, Tāmsik, 3 types of Dhanam, and then the 3 names of the Lord. And then we'll come to the end of this 17th Adhyaya. With this we come to the end of the first session. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.